So here's the actual slides from orientation. We started off with the standard icebreakers, get to know you, and then the meat of the conversation was to figure out what they already knew so that we could customize the content to fit what they wanted to learn. It's angel investing is a very deep, big topic. It can't fit into 12 weeks. There's actually way more content than you could do in 12 weeks. Trying to narrow down exactly what to teach them is trouble. So we started with an orientation and said, well, let's go through everything you can learn and find out what you guys want to learn. And that's what we'll make the program about. So what do you want to know? And then the third question was, how much time do you want to spend on the program? So by now, they'd already knew that they were committed to spend $500 or $700 on this class, and they already committed the capital for the investment. But what we didn't know yet was how much time. Did they want to spend the 2 hours a week that we had on the calendar, which is nominally more like 75 minutes? Or did they want to spend more time? And so in my version of this orientation, I explained to them the difference between synchronous learning and flipped classroom. And if you don't know these two terms, synchronous or asynchronous, synchronous is where the teacher is lecturing to you live, just like I'm doing now for the people who are here live. If you're watching the video, then you're doing the flipped version. The flipped version is you assign the lectures to be watched when the program isn't happening. So you say next week we're talking about Angel Investing 301, go watch those videos. And then when you show up, you will talk about whatever questions you have about that topic. And then we'll do something in the synchronous time that's hard to do in a recorded manner. Like we'll bring in a live entrepreneur that you can talk to. And so I explained the two methods and the pros and cons of those. And then with that, I went through a whole bunch of different topics. And I'll just do these really quickly. So for instance, do you know how to screen deal flow? Right? Do you know what deal flow is? And then do you have a process for screening it, or do you just use your gut? Would you like to learn a process for screening it and get out of your gut? We have a topic on that. We have a way to teach that. And then I just asked in the chat window really quickly, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you want to learn this? One is I already know it or I don't want to learn it. And 10 is yes, please have it in the curriculum. And we did that. So we gathered that information and I just saved the chat window. Same thing on due diligence. How good are you at due diligence? Do you know everything that needs to get checked on due diligence? Do you want to spend one of the lectures on due diligence? Yeah, scale of that 1 to 10. Yellow flags and red flags. Now that you've been through and you've seen the materials in due diligence, do you know what all the yellow flags are to look out for? Do you know what the red flags are to look out for? Would you like to include that in the curriculum? Do you know the terms for investments? Do you know how to do evaluation? Do you know what a liquidation preference is? Have you led a deal before? Like those kind of questions. We had a discussion, again, 1 to 10. Are you searching for unicorns, or do you know that there are other things, other ways to invest besides unicorn hunting? We have a lecture on that. This is one of my favorite. We just did this one last week. I teach entrepreneurs. That's my job, right? And again, if you think about where I discovered this idea, I was out teaching organizations that teach entrepreneurs how to raise money. And so we teach entrepreneurs how to do a pitch. What I have never seen before is teaching the angels how to deconstruct the pitch to see what's hiding in there. And so this is a lecture that I actually do for the entrepreneurs. And then I just changed, for every slide, I have three extra slides talking about what's on the slide, what they say when they're speaking it, and what to look out for. The green slides change when I do the lecture for entrepreneurs versus investors. And a lot of the yous and theys change in the descriptions here, but otherwise it's the same lecture. So it's really fun for me to, and I've done this on the same day as well last year. I taught the entrepreneurs in the morning how to put together a pitch deck that wows an audience. And then I taught, 8 hours later, the investors, and taught them how to deconstruct it to see what the entrepreneurs were hiding. We did that. We did the one for financial models. How do you put them together as an entrepreneur? How do you review them as an investor? Same kind of thing. And then I have a couple others that are just historical. I find them interesting. So what's the true purpose of business? Where does the whole idea come from that the sole purpose of business is to maximize shareholder value? And there's a few of those in here. There's some slides that I took out here. we did a real world case study last year of a real business. It was like a 2-week-old problem. One of the entrepreneurs from the Startup Accelerator had a big decision to make. I got his permission to clean it up and turn it into a case study like you'd see in business school. I presented it to the entrepreneurs in the morning, 8 hours later to the investors, got completely different results. It was really fun. So I presented that this year as an option. And with all that data, like even with before that data, the orientation slide was this one, and it said, all right, so again, the question is, how much time do you want to spend? If we're going to do this in the synchronous style, here are the type of things we could cover. So I showed off about 15 topics in the 15 minutes before that, 20 minutes before that, and then we get to this slide, and we go, okay, here's kind of the pieces we can cover, where we have the last 2 weeks blocked off to make investments. So it's a 12-week program, but we're going to make investments. So we're going to spend some weeks doing that. First week was when I was speaking, was orientation. And here's what else could fit. And I'll go through the 1s through 10s and I'll tweak it. But if you want to do synchronous, this is what we could cover. But if you want to do flipped, we can cover twice the material, actually more than twice the material. And what we saw in both the Africa cohort and the US cohort is that it was unanimous. Everybody wanted to do flipped. And so far, flipped has been working great. They've been watching everything. They've been assigned. That's always been an issue, especially with entrepreneurs who get busy. But hasn't been an issue with the investors yet. And the other thing that they told me in my cohort was they wanted more live case studies. They wanted more case studies. They wanted more live discussions with entrepreneurs. And so as you can see, the stuff in blue here is the topic that they watch at home. Everyone's at home. This is the topic they watch on video beforehand. And then what's in black is what we do in the live session. And this isn't exactly what we're doing because it got tweaked based on those 1 to 10s, but it's something along these lines.